Good morning, everybody. I'm Bob Nagin, and welcome to episode number 13 of the Coronavirus in the Independent Retailer podcast. I'm so honored that you're here. And the first thing that I want to say is congratulations. You made it another day. We made it another day. All of us made it another day. Because this will end. We will get through this together, and every day brings us closer to the other side. So congratulations, one foot in front of the other, baby. That's what we're doing. So today we're going to talk about haters gonna hate. There's been several threads on our Facebook community, Whiz Bang Retailers. I would encourage you to join if you're not a member yet, about people feeling social pressure on social media to behave the way that the poster wants them to behave. Usually, it's about, look, how dare you do business in this time? You need to be home. You need to be closed. So people putting pressure on the business to close. And so we're going to talk about that today. You know, I don't have the right answer for you, but we're going to talk about how to think about it so you can make the best decision for you. But before we do that, I just really want to encourage you, if you are in the United States and you are a retail business owner, or if you know a retail business owner, or you know any small business owner, I really, really want to encourage you to carve out 2.5 hours. Put it on your calendar, put on the headphones, no distractions, get your favorite beverage, a cup of coffee, a glass of wine, a root beer, whatever it is, and get a notepad and watch yesterday's community forum. I was so proud of Susan. She did such a great job of taking very, very complex information and making it very easy to understand. So we had over 70 questions asked by people in our retail communities about the CARES Act. Susan went to I'm a professional speaker. Our law firm had a coronavirus task force, and she dug into their conclusions. She had access to lawyers there. She clarified questions. I mean, it is a really, really, really well done look at the CARES Act. You owe it to yourself. You know, one of the things that came from yesterday is I know that a lot of people are feeling very, very hopeful that the CARES Act is going to do great things for them. So make sure you do it. Now, moving on to today's topic of haters gonna hate, let's talk about this because this is a very, very real thing. You can be doing business in an incredibly responsible way, but somebody is going to think that you're not doing enough and try to burn you on social media, try to shame you, and get you to do what they want you to do. And so let's just sort of go through a checklist of things to think about. So the very first thing I have here is you just need to be a good human being. One of the most important things that everyone can do in this pandemic is be a good human being. Don't sacrifice safety for a sale. You know, be smart, be responsible, look out for yourself, your team, your community. Be a good human being. And that means that everybody's going to be, and that's very, very subjective, of course. So being a good human being in New York City may mean being in your house, putting everything on pause and just going, I'm not going out. I'm going to self-quarantine, end of story, period. If you have an essential business, or if you have a business in, say, Whitefish, Montana, where my boys just left, there's like 2 cases in the state of Montana. You can be a little more lax. You know, you can be a good human being and still do business in a different way than, say, if you were in New York or Seattle. So that's the first thing. You know, we're all in this together. Do the right thing by each other. That's first thing. Most important thing. But then what we have to do is we have to sort of weigh and balance the need to, or the need, desire to do business with the need and desire to be a good citizen. And one of the most important distinctions that I have made with people over the years is the difference between an incident and a problem. And an incident is when something happens once or twice, but there is a tendency to react against an incident. So somebody gets one bad post on social media and there's this reaction to the fact that, somebody said this, I need to do that. Somebody said that I'm not being responsible, I need to close my doors. But just because one or two people said something doesn't mean it's a problem. So an incident is when something happens once or twice and you just need to recognize it's an incident, deal with the incident, and move on. A problem is when something happens over and over and over and over again. So if you get one post on social media saying, hey, that you are being an irresponsible business, that is an incident. We'll talk about replying in a second. But if there are many, many, many posts because your town is in a hot spot, now you have a problem and you have to react to that in a different way. But that distinction between incident and problem is very, very important. So once you've determined that, once you've determined if it's an incident, you react to it. If it's a problem, you react to it differently. But then no matter what, you have to communicate. What are you doing? One of the things that I know about all of us small business people is we often do the right thing, but don't tell people we're doing the right thing, so they don't see we're doing the right thing, and therefore they're left to be open to think that we're doing the wrong thing. Did that make sense? I don't know. But so what are you doing? So I'm assuming that you're going back to rule number one and you're a good human being and you're being responsible and you have a protocol. You should have a protocol. And that protocol is what you are doing to keep you, your staff, and your customers safe while you're doing business. So that needs to be written down. We are practicing social distancing in the store. We are not allowing any more than 2 customers in the store. And in between those 2 customers, we are disinfecting everything. When we do curbside pickup, we are wearing gloves and we disinfect before we put the package in your car. I don't know what the protocol is for you and your business, but you should have a protocol. It should be written down. You and your team should adhere to it. So once you have that protocol, you need to communicate that. You need to give your customers, the people who want to support you, you want to give them comfort that you're looking out for them. So that communication goes everywhere, everywhere. So it goes right on the front of your website. So we are still doing business, but we are being good members of the community. If you choose to shop with us, here's what we're doing to keep you safe. So that message that you're being good citizens, that you are concerned about them, that they are important to you, their support is important to you, but their safety is also important to you. It needs to be communicated in every email that you send. When you do social media postings, it needs to be a big part of your message. If you're going to do a Facebook Live, let's say you're doing a social to sell event, when you're doing that, when you're having fun with your customers, go back to it again and again and again, So if, let's say you're doing a social to sell, you're a toy store, and you're doing a social to sell, and you're talking about puzzles, and say, your family needs puzzles, lots of puzzles. So here's my bundle, my puzzle bundle for 10 to 15-year-olds. And by the way, if you like this puzzle or you'd like a bundle of 3 puzzles for any particular age group, call us on the phone. And then when you're on the phone, say, yes, you can come, we'll do curbside pickup. Here's what we're going to do for you. It's always about communicating to them. This is a deposit into the emotional bank account. They need to understand that you are looking out for them. So also in your windows, make sure that you know what you're doing. You can't put the fine print in your windows, but you can certainly put safety matters or safety first here at Bob's Boutique, or some sort of message that lets people, if you let people into your store, what the protocol is, or you could say, call us for your orders. We deliver, but communicate. I guess that's all I'm going to say is communicate. And the fourth thing I really want to encourage you to do is to buck up and to respond to the haters. Don't ignore them. It just sort of feeds their anger. Just respond to them. Two things about that. First of all, don't respond viscerally. Don't respond emotionally. We just have to recognize, this goes back to number one, be a good human being. Everybody is reacting to all of these things in their own way, in their own time. And somebody may snap, and they're not really mad at you. They're not really upset that you're open. But maybe they have a family member who has just tested positive. So give everybody a big break. This is a time when being a good human being and being patient and being kind and understanding this idea of Sonder, that everybody has their own story, becomes critical to us making this through to the other side together. So don't respond. That's not the way to respond. But be unemotional. But then here's the next little piece of it. This is the format for the response. So if you have the Retail Mastery System, you learn this in the customer service module. But when we teach how to handle a complaint, it always starts with a thank you. You see, when you say thank you to someone for their complaint, for their response, for their, for their nastygram, what you're doing is you're getting on their same team. You're trying to create an understanding. Somebody has a complaint, you're trying to get on their team. If somebody is responding negatively to the way that you're doing business, you're trying to get on their team. And if you say, I'm sorry, you are now in a defensive position. I'm sorry you feel that way. No, you don't need to say that. Thank you for your response. See, now you're being positive. Now you're being proactive. Thank you for your response. While I understand your concern, we feel very confident that we are being good citizens. Here is what we are doing to ensure our safety, the safety of our employees, and the safety of our customers. And then you can either have a link to a document that shows your procedures, or you can just sort of spell it out to them very quickly. But don't ignore it. Don't ignore it. That will just make the people who are angry angrier. You want to diffuse it right away. So there it is. Be a good human being. Understand the difference between an incident and a problem. Communicate clearly. Communicate often. Stay in front of these problems, and always respond to those social media posts and start with a thank you. All right. So I hope that you found that helpful. I hope that you're not getting the haters, but it's happening more and more. So I thought I'd create a podcast episode about it. You can find all of these episodes, all of these independent retailer, coronavirus and the independent retailer podcasts on our WhizBang Training binge page. You can go to whizbangtraining.com/coronavirus. And on that page, you'll find all the podcasts. You'll find you will be able to watch all of the community forums, including yesterday's community forum about the CARES Act. I've done several interviews with really smart people who will add a lot of value to your thinking around this. And you can also subscribe to this podcast as an actual podcast on any of your favorite podcast platforms. So finally, if you liked what you saw here, please share. If you go to our binge page and you like what you see, please share. We're all in this together, and we're doing everything we can to get you the information you need to manage this crisis successfully. And the more people that we can help, the better off we're all going to be. Remember, today is one more day. Make it through today, and we're going to be one day closer to being out of the other end together. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We will see you tomorrow.